Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tennis lovers, we share the great honor and joy to have here at Nastase Tiriac Trophy a sacred monster, one of the greatest living legends of tennis, an artist, for me, a Jimi Hendrix of racket strings, Mr. Big Mac, I mean John McEnroe as himself. Welcome, Mr. McEnroe,
I liked
in
everything
Bucharest.
except the monster part.
The monster, a sacred
Sacred
monster,
monster.
a sacred
I have to
monster.
think about that.
It's from the movies world. This express, but the greatest stars of in the movies world are named sacred monsters.
I see.
For
Okay, well,
okay, it's your second visit in Bucharest, Mr. McEnroe, and my first question is if you feel some differences in the picture, in the atmosphere of Bucharest of 1984 and Bucharest of 2012.
you know, I do notice a big difference. I'm not sure how the people feel about it, but for example, this club is absolutely beautiful. Coming in from the airport, I remember scenes that were things I never forgot. Very old women doing very hard labor coming in 1984, and I felt like I would hope that things would change, and it seems like from what I saw with a lot of buildings, a lot of beautiful buildings, it seemed to be in a lot better shape, and just generally the atmosphere seems much more positive. You know better than I do, obviously, but hopefully reintegrating into Europe as a whole, and to show this country the way that I'd heard about it from long ago, that this was something that was beautiful, and I think that it's nice here for me to be here because Ely grew up so close to here. I saw a documentary on him where they showed a lot of footage of him at this club, and it's nice to be on a real clay court. We don't have these in America.
What are the names that pop into your mind when you hear the word Romania?
Well,
the names, the words.
Well, obviously, Ely, Nastase Tiriac. From a tennis point of view, there's that great history. Nadia Comaneci. Those are the ones that come to mind first and foremost. But when I was growing up as a teenager, Romania was one of the best teams and played the U.S. in the Davis Cup final, and so you know, I went to see Ely play a lot, even ball boyed for him, and so he was like the Roger Federer of the 70s. He was an incredible player, can play on any surface and hit any shot, and then obviously his behavior was unusual and something that I got compared very often with as time went on. So there's always been this connection between Ely and myself.
Mm-hmm. You are the last great player of the wooden racket, Mr. McEnroe.
That's right.
For me. So let's imagine all today's top players using wooden rackets. How will change the top 10 of the world such a situation?
Well, I think that if you watch Roger play, Federer, he could play with a wood racket. He'd be great with the wood racket. The players that play with more spin, you know, it's not just the rackets, it's also the strings. So that's what's made this game more physical, more athletic, and force you to sort of maybe play more defense. So you see better athletes. Ely was a great athlete, and that's part of why he was so good. Now you have to be a great athlete. It's difficult to say when you make the transition because if you look at, to me, Rafa Nadal is like the Bjorn Borg of my time. It was a different style. Bjorn was like a backboard. Now Nadal's more aggressive style of play, but I think they're very similar, and physically they were two of the best athletes. So even though you'd say, well, maybe Rafa Nadal wouldn't play as well, I think inside he's a real champion, and he would also be a great player. And it's something that, in a way, I wish I saw more, that we didn't give up with the wood racket so soon.
Romanian love tops, and I guess that they would be very interested to know the McEnroe top of best shots in tennis, main shots in tennis. For example, the best service now, the best forehand, the best backhand, and sure, the best volley.
Well, I think Isner maybe is the best serve, and he's the most difficult serve. He's very dangerous for the top players, and I think the best forehand, I mean, it has to be between the top, Novak has gotten, I think he has the best movement on a hard court. Rafa's got the best movement on a clay court. Novak's got the best return. The best volley is a little difficult to say. I think actually, to me, Nadal's got the best volley of all the top players. I think he's become a very good volleyer. And forehand's tough to say. I mean, I think Roger, those three guys, one of those guys, and maybe Murray, when he's playing aggressively, has maybe the best backhand of all of them.
Today performance in tennis means more power, as you already said, more speed, athleticism, endurance. Do you foresee an end to this kind of robotic tennis played today, or the real tennis will end undistinguishable from video games on the computer screen?
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I think in the 70s they had a strings called the spaghetti strings, and BRD Nastase started playing with them and winning, and they outlawed it because there was so much spin. And now they see that there's more spin than ever. The strings are probably more important than the rackets in a way, and that's a problem because it's forced too many players to play the same style, and it is more difficult to volley, and people get more afraid. But I think you're going to see someone. Usually things happen in cycles, and you see a player come along that could change that. A big, tall guy like an Isner, someone that's even more athletic, and then suddenly he's a serve volleyer, and then maybe people go, whoa, I think it's better to serve and volley. And maybe they're going to change some rules. I think eventually you'll see, I don't know when, and I'm not exactly sure what will happen, but I think you'll see some rule changes. So, in the meantime, you see the best players developing a little bit more to the game, a little bit better at the net, a little bit more willing to come in big moments. But generally, most players are staying on the baseline. And I think it's more interesting when you see different styles.
You see John Isner having chances for Wimbledon or US Open?
I think he has a chance at Wimbledon and the US Open, I think. But, of course, the problem for anyone outside the top four is that they have to be maybe three of the four players, and that's the part that is hard to see anyone doing. But I think he's the most dangerous player out of the top four guys, and I think he's actually even playing very well in clay. So far, he's played very badly on grass, but I think that he should be very, very dangerous. And I know that the top players, if I was a top player, the first thing I would do would be look where he was and hope that he wasn't in my section.
In the blue clay, talking about clay, in the blue clay clash between Nadal and Federer and Ion Tiriac at Madrid Mutua, you, Mr. McEnroe, you are red or blue?
I would go more red, but
red.
But having said that, I think that we need to try different things. So it's worth trying things, even if it turns out it doesn't work. I still think that it's not a bad idea. I know that we used to have all green hard courts, and then they switched to blue, and supposedly blue looked better on TV, so maybe blue looks better than red on TV. I don't know. And it's just something different that people talk about and maybe create some controversy, but that's good.
Finally, it's good.
I think at the end it's good. Maybe they play and someone will complain, but they'll be talking. What we want them is to talk about tennis.
And my last question, Mr. McEnroe. I've heard you are very tired about Stuttgart match with Pat Cash. Very tight.
Very
agenda.
close. Very close.
Very close. So, Mr. McEnroe, you could also be named, in my opinion, a Mozart of tennis. Not only because Tom
Jimi Hendrix, Mozart.
Yes,
this is
yes.
Incredible.
I have musical comparisons for you. I don't know why. But Tom Hulse, the actor Tom Hulse, studied you for his role in Oscar winner movie Amadeus. He declared that he studied
That's what I
you.
heard. That's what I've heard, yes.
But not only for this. If you hadn't been the great tennis player you are, what else? What other great you would have wanted to be?
Well, I'd love to have been a guitar player. I love art. I'm a terrible artist, but I love to collect art. I love basketball. I'm too small for basketball. I didn't jump good enough. I love being a professional athlete. It's hard to imagine anything besides I'd like maybe to be a bad version of Jimi Hendrix.